Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We are coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here to our program tonight, or this afternoon, or this morning, wherever you might be when you're watching this broadcast. We want to still welcome you here. We appreciate you all being here as well. Now, folks, we have quite a few things we want to talk about. Now, one of my associates on another channel, I'm not going to mention any names or channels, but that associate mentioned the Yellowstone supervolcano was moving. I want to clarify this once and for all. And I clarified it on their channel, on their comments after the channel had gone inactive. Yellowstone volcano. The Yellowstone volcano is nowhere near ready to erupt. I want to make that point perfectly clear. The Yellowstone volcano is nowhere near ready to erupt. I want to make it clear. Okay? Very clear. Yes, we had some earthquakes the other day. Quite a few earthquakes the other day. Yes, we did. I totally agree. All kinds of earthquakes there. But again, the Yellowstone earthquakes are not happening. Yes, we are having tremors, and at the very most, minor 2.1, 2.2 earthquakes. That comes directly from the Idaho State University or Utah State University Department of Seismology. If you want to go over to that site, Utah State University Department of Seismology in Utah, go over there, take a look at it yourself. There is no possibility whatsoever that the Yellowstone volcano is any kind of area where it's going to erupt. No chance. No chance at all. Okay? At best, this is what could happen if the Yellowstone volcano were going to have a super eruption. The kill zone would be around Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, northern Utah, and western Colorado. The primary ash zone goes further out into Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, northwestern Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, western South Dakota, and western North Dakota. The secondary ashfall goes all the way out into central Washington, west central Oregon, over to the west side of Nevada, all the way over to the Great Lakes to Wisconsin. Down into Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, northwestern Arkansas. Folks, I'm telling you right now, this is not going to happen. I've done my research. I want to talk specifically about what a supervolcano is and what a super eruption is. The term supervolcano implies a volcanic center that has an eruption magnitude of 8. An eruption magnitude of 8 on the Volcano Exclusivity Index, the VEI, meaning that at one point in time, the volcano could have erupted more than 1,000 cubic kilometers, 240 cubic miles of material. Again, a supervolcanic eruption, a volcano exclusivity index of VEI 8, meaning again that the volcano would have erupted 1,000 cubic kilometers, 240 cubic miles, as we know here in the United States, of material. Okay, that's huge. That's huge. The term super eruption began being used as a catchy way to describe a VEI 8 eruption. Explosive eruptions of this size erupt so much magma that a circular shaped collapse feature called a caldera. We talked about calderas before. Basically, what the caldera is, let me take down this map momentarily. I will come back to it in just a minute. The caldera, okay, we know that for example, let's take a stratovolcano. Just talking about a stratovolcano with sides like this, okay? The caldera of the volcano is the summit of the volcano. Usually the summit is a huge volcanic rock, a huge piece of lava. Huge by meaning in size and in depth. The lava rock plug of the volcano is a huge piece of lava that hardened over a long period of time to provide an impetus to keep the magma inside the volcano. The top of that lava plug is called a caldera. In the case of Yellowstone, there are actually 3 calderas in Yellowstone. 3 calderas in Yellowstone. The center point of Yellowstone and just north of Yellowstone and over into Idaho, which is Island National Park. Island Park. Central eastern Idaho. Central eastern Idaho. Or east central Idaho. Now, that does not include what we've been seeing as earthquakes in Idaho. I want to make that point perfectly clear. Okay? Yes, we've seen earthquakes in Stanley, Idaho. This area here, for example. We've seen swarms of earthquakes during the past 4 days. Today, there is 1 earthquake there. 1 earthquake there. I'll show you that earthquake in a few minutes. But the most that we've had over here in Stanley, Idaho was as much as a 3.5 earthquake, small earthquake. All the other earthquakes were either tremors or minor earthquakes. Tremors being 1.0 to 1.9 in magnitude, not felt. They can never be felt. They're too small. Minor earthquakes, 2.0 to 2.9. Still cannot be felt except by very sensitive people. Even as a 2.7, 2.8, only very sensitive people can feel that. Nothing below that. A small earthquake is a 3.0, 3.9. 3.0 to 3.9 can be felt. 3.0 and larger earthquakes can be felt. This was a 3.5, 9 miles north-northwest of Stanley, Idaho. Now look at this slide here. Yes, we're showing you a lot of earthquakes in this area. Okay. Yes, there were 40 earthquake tremors and minor earthquakes and small earthquakes in this area. There was also 3.2. But the largest earthquake that hit Stanley, Idaho in the past 4 days was a 3.5, and I'm showing you that right now. Folks, look at the topography of this area. There are 3 earthquake faults running north and south. 3 earthquake faults running north and south. That is why we have these earthquakes here today. That is exactly why we have these earthquakes here today. Let's bring up my next slide. Okay. In previous episodes of this program several years ago, We talked about the Yellowstone magma chamber being 11 Grand Canyons in size. The western side of the Yellowstone magma chamber goes over to Challis, Idaho. The western side of the Yellowstone volcanic magma chamber goes over to Challis, Idaho. The eastern side of Idaho. Stanley, Idaho, as you can see on this map, is 54 miles west of Challis. 54 miles west of Challis. Nowhere near the Yellowstone magma chamber. Yes, if the magma chamber was fully charged, if the Yellowstone magma chamber was fully charged and the Yellowstone volcano was puffing ash and smoke out of the volcano, which it's not doing, yes, we have geyser eruptions at Yellowstone. The geyser eruptions take the steam from the volcano and put it out into the atmosphere. But we have not had any ash fall whatsoever at Yellowstone. None. None. Yes, we've had some large geyser eruptions. Large geyser eruptions, but that's all. Some people are saying that the large geyser eruptions are showing the strength of the Yellowstone volcano. Yes, that's true. But the large geyser eruptions have nothing to do with the Yellowstone magma chamber erupting. If that was going to happen, we would have lava flow out in the area of Yellowstone. Probably nothing more. The largest eruption at Yellowstone was 2.1 million years ago. The largest eruption at Yellowstone was 2.1 million years ago. It had a volume of 2,450 cubic kilometers. 2,450 cubic kilometers. Like many other caldera-forming volcanoes, most of Yellowstone's many eruptions have been smaller than VEI-8 super eruptions. So it is confusing to categorize Yellowstone as a supervolcano. Other caldera-forming volcanoes that have produced exceedingly large pyroclastic eruptions in the past 2 million years include Long Valley Volcano just east of Mammoth in eastern California. The Valles Caldera in New Mexico, we talked about that a couple years ago. Toba Volcano in Indonesia that has erupted recently. And then we've also recently, even just last week, talked about the Taupo volcano, Taupo volcano in New Zealand. Taupo volcano in New Zealand erupted some 22,600 years ago and is the most recent supervolcanic eruption on Earth. The Taupo volcano in New Zealand last erupted 22,600 years ago. And its most recent eruption, super eruption there, had a volume of 1,130 cubic kilometers of lava. Okay? So Yellowstone has not erupted in over 2 million years. Okay? I want to make that point perfectly clear. The only seismic data that we have out of Yellowstone is provided by the Utah State University Seismology Center. Okay? And if you go over there, you're going to find that there are only minor earthquakes and tremors hitting Yellowstone. That's all. Nothing more. But what people got so excited about is when they saw those earthquakes hitting Stanley, Idaho. Right there. Stanley, Idaho, again, is west of Challis. Challis, Idaho, to the eastern side of Idaho, is the western side of the Yellowstone magma chamber. It's not going to happen. The earthquakes that hit Stanley, Idaho have nothing to do with Yellowstone at all. Those are actually earth building, mountain building earthquakes. Now, if you remember about 3.5, 4 years ago, we had a 6.5 earthquake here in Stanley, Idaho, on one of those 3 earthquake faults. Now, with all of these earthquakes developing here in Idaho, right here, I want to make 2 other points here. This is central Idaho. Some people have been saying that these earthquakes are in southern Idaho. They're not. These earthquakes are in central Idaho. How do I know that? Because I used to live in southeastern Idaho, right above the Yellowstone magma chamber in southeastern Idaho. I've been there. I visited Yellowstone many, many times growing up, and I've been there twice as an adult. I know Yellowstone like the back of my hand. Yellowstone magma chamber is not going to erupt anytime soon. Additional volcanoes capable of producing super eruptions include the large caldera volcanoes in Japan, Sakurajima that we just had erupting last week, volcanoes in Indonesia and South America in the Andes Mountains. The Yellowstone supervolcano is not currently at a risk of catastrophic eruption, and such events are unlikely in the next few centuries. A catastrophic eruption of Yellowstone is highly unlikely in the next few centuries, hundreds of years. With that said, Yellowstone volcano remains volcanically active, but there are no signs of an imminent eruption coming. There are several magma chambers around Yellowstone that are not even connected in a way that would allow for a major eruption at this point in time. Rebecca just gave us a $5 super chat. Becky, thank you for that. Appreciate that. I'm giving you an EMA sticker on your super chat. I'm giving you a thumbs up for that as well. While I'm talking about that, those of you who would like to contribute to our channel keeping us on the air, folks, you can do that here on the super chat. Also, scrolling across the bottom of your screen, you can see our PayPal addresses and our Venmo address where you contribute to this program here today. Also below that, we have our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. We also have our regular address. Our EMA address is 504 Bethel Road, Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. You can send us cards, you can send us letters. And inside those cards and letters, you can put in a check or even cash. People have done that before. They've even sent us gift cards here, which we also greatly appreciate. But you can put them inside of a letter. Don't put them anywhere in just a blank envelope, because that cash or check can be seen from the outside. Make sure it's wrapped in a letter. Write us a letter. Send us a card. put that contribution inside of a card as well. We would love to know who sent us the donation. We would also love to hear about how you are making emergency preparedness items in your home, what you are doing to prepare for an emergency where you live. We'd love to be able to share that here on the channel as well. So please do that. Please do that. Carol and I love cards and letters. Carol especially loves the cards. She gets a charge out of it. But please do that. We'd appreciate it. We'd appreciate any contributions you send us on Super Chat as well. We really do. Also, folks, while I'm talking about this, and I'll get back to Yellowstone in just a minute, please, guys, please, if you enjoy what we're talking about on this channel, please give us a thumbs up. That's very important. That lets YouTube know that you're very interested in what we're talking about here, that you enjoy our channel. Also, folks, if you enjoy what we're talking about, please also subscribe to our channel. Right below this video today is a subscription button. You can click on that. You can subscribe to our channel. Right next to that subscription button, there's also a little bell icon. Click on that little bell icon as well. When you click on that bell icon, a drop-down menu of 3 items is going to come up. Click on the word ALL. That way you'll get notified when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube does not always notify everybody that we're coming on the air. They've also unsubscribed 12 people in the last 30 hours. YouTube on a regular basis unsubscribes people. They unsubscribe our mods. They have even unsubscribed me to my own channel. Interesting enough, it's stupid. YouTube denies doing it. YouTube says that they only unsubscribe people that have left YouTube. Really? Really, YouTube? Don't lie to me, YouTube. I've about had it up to here with your lies. Don't lie to me. Rebecca the Explorer here in the chat, she's one of my mods, one of our dearest friends. She says, yep, they are love unsubscribing people. They do that to Rebecca's channel as well. Guys, Rebecca can also use your support. Go over to her channel and give her some love. She'd greatly appreciate that. Subscribe to her channel too. Okay? Anyway, getting back to the Yellowstone volcano. Yellowstone is not in any way, shape, or form getting ready to erupt. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen for several centuries into the future. Yellowstone remains an active volcano. There are no signs of an imminent eruption at all. Scientists from USGS, and one of them I don't really like, Mr. Palin from the U.S. Geological Survey at Yellowstone Volcanic Observatory, I don't like the man. Mary Greeley doesn't like him either. Palin and Mary Greeley and I have also been at odds with him verbally. He's berated us, he's put us down, and when we've tried calling him as of late, he finds that we're calling him and hangs up on us. He won't take our calls anymore because he lies to the public, unfortunately. But he's one of the main geologists at the Yellowstone Volcanic Observatory. But again, scientists from USGS and the Utah State University Seismology Department is monitoring this volcano for any kind of signs of activity that could indicate a potential eruption. New research published in the journal Nature suggests The Yellowstone's magma is split across a network of distinct chambers. Again, the Yellowstone magma chamber is 11 Grand Canyons in size, making a large eruption unlikely anytime soon. The most likely eruption event could occur at Yellowstone. It could be a hydrothermal explosion. A hydrothermal explosion. Basically, what that means is a rock hurling geyser. A rock hurling geyser eruption and or a lava flow. A small lava flow. Hydrothermal explosions are very small. Hydrothermal explosions occur in Yellowstone every few years. And when they do occur, they form a crater a few meters across. Every few thousand years, a hydrothermal explosion will form a crater as much as a few hundred meters across every few thousand years. The worst case scenario for a giant Yellowstone eruption is indeed bad, and it could have global implications. It could have global implications. Let me put this back up here. I put up the kill zone where very explosive hot gases, a lava flow, a major lava flow, and ash going up into the air. The primary kill zone is around the volcano there as you see it, encompassing Idaho, northern Utah, Colorado, Montana, and Wyoming. Northwestern Colorado, western Montana, and western Wyoming. The ash flow goes up into Canada and encompasses North and South Dakota, Nebraska, western Minnesota, parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, parts of Texas, New Mexico, going over into northern Arizona and Nevada, Oregon, and even Washington. The secondary ashfall goes way up into Canada. Basically, southwest or southeastern British Columbia, southern Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, going into the United States all the way down to Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, going down to Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, New Mexico, the northern half of Arizona, and most of Nevada. Half of Oregon, the western half of Oregon, or the eastern half of Oregon, and the eastern half of Washington. But that doesn't mean there would not be ash blowing across the entire North American continent, or even ash going through the jet stream around the world. That could happen. The last volcanic eruption that went up into the stratosphere circled the Earth 3 times. Circled the Earth 3 times. Okay? Now, what's going to happen here? Again, the worst case scenario would be a very bad situation in Yellowstone and might have global implications. Most past eruptions at Yellowstone were not, I repeat, not highly explosive. Of the past 50 eruptions, let's take that maybe even more, 50 or more eruptions, Almost all of those eruptions were simple lava flows. If they occurred tomorrow or next year, they would only have minimal effect outside Yellowstone National Park. They would have very little impact outside Yellowstone National Park. As for the worst case scenario, even previous Yellowstone super eruptions did not cause extinctions, and the ash fallout on the other side of the continent was minimal. Yellowstone, like I said, is currently and routinely monitored for signs of volcanic activity. These methods include using seismographs to detect earthquakes and using GPS global positioning satellites to detect ground motion and ground uplift, or when the ground goes back down. That's happened. We've spoken about that many times when we talked about volcanic eruptions around the world. Ashley Laurel's here in the chat saying, well, I got crowned. Now, folks, I still don't understand why YouTube is giving you guys crowns. They've been doing this now for almost a week. I'm going to find out why they do that, and I'll let you know. But yes, Ashley, you got crowned. That's awesome. That's awesome. Canadian Patriot also got a crown. He's number 3. Laurel got a crown. She's number 1, whatever that means. But again, the Yellowstone volcano is not going to erupt very large anytime soon. Possibly centuries, hundreds of years. Not tomorrow, not next year, not next week or next month. The global positioning satellites tell us when the magma chambers start to fill up and the ground moves up. It's called deformation. Deformation. When that happens, we'll get more information about it. But so far, it's not going on. The ground breathes. The ground breathes, guys. The ground goes up and down on a regular basis. But it doesn't go up and down very far. Centimeters at best. Okay? But again, the United States Geological Survey and the Utah State University Seismology Department have not detected any signs of activity that suggest that an eruption is imminent. While Yellowstone is a supervolcano with a history of large eruptions, that history was a long time ago. Sitting Bears here in the chat saying crowns are for chat activity, says it is in the question mark button. That's interesting. I did not know that. Thank you, Sitting Bear. I'll check into that. Appreciate you, brother. Anyway, there is no scientific activity at all that's been seen that suggests Yellowstone is going to erupt. Yes, it's had a history of large eruptions. Right now, there is no activity at all that suggests that there is a catastrophic eruption that is imminent. The USGS believes that the odds are very high that Yellowstone will be eruption-free for the next few centuries. They believe Yellowstone will be eruption-free for the next few centuries. Yellowstone will likely remain volcanically active, with small eruptions and other signs of activity. but a major catastrophic eruption is not expected anytime soon. Does anybody have any questions for me? Canadian Patriots here saying Ron spends a lot of time researching the information. Great work, brother. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Jerry Hayes is here. Thank you for being here. But do we have any other questions about Yellowstone? Yes, there are volcanoes all over the world that are erupting. There are other volcanoes attempting to erupt. We've talked about that before. I want to make it very clear what's going on. Let me take the eruption map down. I'm going to now put up the USGS map, supposedly showing earthquakes, which they're not doing. They are not showing many earthquakes at all here around the world. Hardly showing anything. USGS is saying there's 226 earthquakes worldwide. What a joke that is. What a cotton-picking joke that is. Let's back it out. I had it superimposed over in Southern California because I've been doing a lot of research in Southern California in regards to the San Andreas fault. I've been heavily immersed in San Andreas information and also over into the New Madrid fault zone. I will briefly talk about New Madrid tonight. Okay. Yesterday I covered information over in Alaska. Alaska does have a volcano that is showing some kind of activity. Anchorage here that you see on the map is the capital of Anchorage. Across the water, which is the Cook Inlet here. Across the water of the Cook Inlet is a volcano, Mount Spur. Mount Spur is showing signs of unrest. Yes, there was some lava at the top of the volcano, at the summit, but it is not fountaining. It is not flowing down the side of the volcano. Yes, there have been some minor earthquakes and tremors around Mount Spur. Those tremors and minor earthquakes are showing signs that Mount Spur could erupt. But so far, Mount Spur is just playing around. So far. I'm going to encourage all of you who live over near Anchorage. All of you that live near Anchorage need to prepare for the time that Mount Spur might erupt. You need to get your first aid kits. You need to get your emergency preparedness kits as well. You also need to do something else. You need to write an emergency preparedness plan. You need to write an emergency preparedness plan. That way, when Mount Spur or any of the other volcanoes around Alaska open up, you're ready. You have a plan to address the situation. You have an emergency preparedness kit with clothes, food, water, your first aid kit, any medicines that you're going to need. If you have to bug out, you can bug out. Probably not a good idea in Alaska. Shelter in place is a better idea. But you need to have those things in place when something is going to happen. Not just a volcano. Your emergency could be a major earthquake. Your emergency could be anything. But that way you are prepared. Charlotte is asking, how does one get a reddened star? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, yes, I do. I see that on Heather. That red and star means that you've been a member of the EMA family membership here on YouTube. And yes, I know you've asked me several times to make you a member. So far, YouTube has not allowed me to do that. You have to join this channel. Demon Catman just put up the link to join this channel. That link is also below this video that you're seeing here today. Right at the very top of our program description is a link to join this channel. Then you're going to see below that our email address. And right below that, you're going to also see the links to send us donations to PayPal or Venmo. You're also going to see our main address as well. But I've made sure you have that here scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Okay? But I've given you the warning for Anchorage. It's actually an advisory. Mount Spur is nowhere near a warning status yet. It's yellow advisory status. We have one earthquake over here in the Cook Inlet. It's a small 3.2 near Salmonhoff, Alaska. It's in the Cook Inlet. Nobody felt that earthquake? The waters of the Cook Inlet probably absorbed the shockwaves of that quake, which is small, very small earthquake. Earthquakes over here north of Valdez, Alaska. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. This is a 1.6. Just north of that is a 1.4 north of Valdez. Hardly anything else. Over here in southeastern Alaska here, 1.6 tremor over here in Yakutak, Alaska. Now see that earthquake fault that leaves Yakutak and starts heading south? Southeastern Alaska here goes all the way down off the coast of British Columbia, Canada, all the way down here off the west coast of Haida Gwaii, Queen Charlotte Island here. It continues running south here, all the way down the coast of Washington, Oregon, and into Northern California. It's called the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The Cascadia Subduction Zone here runs all the way down the coast to Northern California right here. Right here, off the coast of Northern California, off the coast of Petrolia, California, on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 2.7 earthquake. East of there, right on the coast, is a 1.6 tremor here. 3 miles, 6 kilometers west-southwest of Petrolia, California. Okay, that is the southern end of the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Let's back off here. I want to go over here to the Aleutian Island Zone, Adak, Alaska area. Adak, Alaska area here. This is 1.4 tremor, 139 kilometers west-southwest of Adak. Just a little bit west of there is a minus 0.3. I want to zoom in here. I want to show you what's going on here. This is a minus 0.3 microquake. They say this is above sea level. Minus numbers indicate above sea level. Guess what, folks? This is not above sea level at all. This happens to be 16 kilometers deep. 16 kilometers deep, that's 8 miles deep. USGS has this as a minus number. It's not. This is a microquake, 8 miles deep, 16 kilometers deep, guys. Off the coast here, in the water, I've seen USBS show negative numbers here. This is a 0.4 microquake here, 14 kilometers deep. Just north of there is a minus 0.2. Really? Minus numbers down beneath the ocean here? Crap. USGS, you need to get your acts together. This earthquake here is 15.5 kilometers deep. It's not above sea level at all. 0.2 microquake here. USBS has this as a 0.6 microquake here. This is 13 kilometers deep. Why did I want to show you that? Number one, the primary earthquake we talked about here, it's not above sea level at all. It's down inside this island here, 16 kilometers deep, 8 miles deep. Yes, we do have a volcano here. We do have a volcano. Where this earthquake here, this tremor, this microquake, it probably occurred down inside the magma chamber of this volcano. Down inside the magma chamber of this volcano. My buddy Don Patoga's here. Don, thank you for being here. God bless you, buddy. Don is one of my best friends and one of my mods here. I appreciate Don a lot. Don is a great man. Anyway, the last time we saw any kind of ash flow over Canada was when Chevelus volcano erupted. Chevelus volcano right here erupted approximately 4.5 years ago. When it erupted, it was up into the stratosphere, an 85,000 foot eruption up into the stratosphere. USGS first said it didn't erupt. It was a fallacy. None of their motion indicators saw this eruption. I was the only person, I was the only agency, the only company that reported this eruption. 2 days later, USGS had to eat their words. This was indeed a huge catastrophic eruption of Chevelus volcano. 85,000 foot eruption. By the time USGS admitted that it had erupted, the ashfall from Chevelus had already blown eastward over Alaska. The ashfall had blown across the entire Aleutian Island area over into Alaska, all the way over here in Alaska. The jet stream carried it there, all the way over Canada and all the way over into Northern Europe. But like I said, USBS denied that it happened. We also have seen eruptions at Kleochevskoye volcano further south right here. Kleochevskoye volcano here. There's a couple other volcanoes here that erupt as well. Kleochevskoye is probably one of the most common volcano names you're going to hear, along with Chevelus. Okay? Another volcano I've pointed out before is right here, just south of the Kamchatka Peninsula. These are the Kuril Islands here. Between Hokkaido, Japan, and Kamchatka Peninsula are the Kuril Islands. This island right here is a volcano, Ebeko, E-B-E-K-O volcano. Right now, as far as I know, Ebeko volcano is not erupting, but it has erupted already this year. Right there. Just so you know where it's at. Over here, this is near the fault zone here, in the Kuril Islands. This is a 4.3 earthquake. 4.3 earthquake, it's on the fault zone. You can see it here. The fault zone comes out of Japan, comes out of eastern Japan. right here, also on that fault zone, right here. The other day we had a 6.4 earthquake in the same location, just southeast of Hokkaido here. This is a 4.6 aftershock. Right next to it is another 4.1 aftershock. Okay? Aftershock of the 6.4 earthquake last week. They're not showing any other earthquakes here in Japan, mainland Japan. Honshu, Kyushu, Kyoto, nothing. There are earthquakes here. They're just not reporting them. Further south here along the Mariana Trench here, down here in the Izu Islands here of Japan. This is a 4.6 earthquake, 126 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow earthquake. Let's go south. Yesterday we had some earthquakes over here just west of Guam. Just west of Guam here. Here's Saipan. Down here is Guam here. Okay? Yes, we've had some earthquakes here recently. But the USGS is not showing us any earthquakes down here in the southern part of the Mariana Trench. We've had some earthquakes over here in Taiwan. USGS is not showing anything here today. I'm sure we have some earthquakes here today that they're not showing us. Over here in the Philippines, they're not showing any of the 4 earthquakes here in the Philippines. Why not? There are all kinds of earthquakes here in the Philippines. Most of those earthquakes are small and minor earthquakes. I believe there's one 4.4 earthquake there on the eastern side of Mindanao, Philippines, which is, by the way, the largest island in the southern Philippines, right there. Okay? Further south here, northern Indonesia. Tobelo, Indonesia, we have a 4.5 earthquake here. We have another earthquake down here in the North Banda Sea. This is in Fak, Indonesia. Fak, Indonesia. This is a large 5.2 earthquake. A large 5.2 earthquake over here in the Banda Sea. This is over on the south, or actually I'm not I'm sorry, not the south, but the northeast side of this island. Now, while this is a 5.2 earthquake, it's out here off the coast, 156 kilometers west-northwest of Fak, Indonesia. Now, I don't believe there's anybody even living here along the coastline. There might be some small communities, very small communities, that might be living in this area. But folks, these people here living in this area don't have a lot of money either. They might make $500 a year. Unreal. But I don't believe anybody on land felt that 5.2 earthquake at all. Now, you don't see any other earthquakes here in Papua, Indonesia. Over here in Papua New Guinea as well. Actually, there's one over here in eastern Papua New Guinea right here. This is Kokopo, Papua New Guinea. 117 kilometers southwest of Kokopo. While this earthquake is on land, it's only a 4.5 moderate earthquake. 4.5 earthquakes are still not dangerous. They can cause some damage, especially at 4.5. This one, as you can see, is in a very tropical forested area. There are also some rolling hills here. I don't believe we have a huge population of people here at all. If there's any kind of population, there are only small villages here. While they don't have much money, an earthquake of this size can do a lot of damage to them. The people in this area of Papua New Guinea only, like I said, make $500 a year. They live in shacks, cardboard or wooden shacks. They don't have much. When they get a rocker here, it destroys a lot of stuff that they have, unfortunately. But moving back over here to Indonesia, they're not showing anything here. There are 26 earthquakes here in Indonesia, by the way. 26 earthquakes, and they're not showing but 2. One earthquake over here. This is in southeastern China. 5.0 large earthquake here. 5.0 large earthquake here. We don't get any information out of China about these earthquakes, rarely if ever. Over here, also in western Zhejiang, China, this is a 4.7 earthquake here. It's north of the Himalaya Mountains here. The Himalaya Mountains are the southern side of the plate. The southern side of the plate, the Chinese-Russian plate here. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically the Chinese-Russian plate here, the southern side. The Himalaya Mountains are the craton edge, the edge of the plate here. Over here in China, this is also the edge of the plate. Look closely where this earthquake is. See this earthquake fault that comes out of the Indian Ocean here? Goes through Thailand, Vietnam area, Thailand, Cambodia. Goes up here into Myanmar. Just east of there is where this earthquake hit. This earthquake fault possibly even carried this seismic energy from way down south in Indonesia. 5.0 earthquake here. Notice how close to the craton edge this earthquake is. It's there. It's there. The edge of the plates are usually where we're going to see earthquakes, as is this case today. Over here on the western side here, western Zhejiang, China, a 4.7 quake here. Over here further to the west here, this is Afghanistan, a 4.2 moderate earthquake here. We come across Iran and Iraq. They're not showing us anything here. Why not? Go over here to Syria, no earthquakes at all. The Syria-Turkey border region right here, they're not showing any earthquakes. There are 22 earthquakes here. Why? They are all aftershocks of a major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that occurred here over 2 years ago. February 3rd, 2023. A 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit here, February 3rd, 2023. It unalived 5,000 people, over 5,000 people, and also injured another 5,000. Major earthquake. It also It also created a huge fissure in the earth, 14 miles long, 8 stories deep. You can fit an 8-story building down inside that fissure. That's what happens when you have these size of earthquakes. Okay? Yes, there are earthquakes here in northern Turkey, central Turkey, and southern Turkey. Earthquakes all over. Down here in southwestern Turkey, right here, there was a 5.2 earthquake today. USGS is not showing it. USGS is not showing it. Terrible. It's really terrible. I want to go over here into the South Aegean Sea here. Right here. USGS is not showing any earthquakes here. It's a fallacy. It's a lie. It's an outright omission. When USBS or any other agency or anyone omits information, it's a lie. It's considered a lie. When they omit information, they're lying to the public. They're lying to our communities. All kinds of earthquakes here. Literally all kinds of earthquakes here. I resent the agency for lying to the public. I resent it. Let me bring up a cam here. I want to show you what we're seeing here in Western Turkey and the Aegean Sea. We have approximately 18 earthquakes here in the south central Aegean Sea. Look at that. Imagine that. But again, the USBS doesn't want us to see anything. They never do. Look what we actually have here. We have earthquakes stretching from basically just north of Santorini all the way down to Crete, Greece. The islands here in the Aegean Sea belong to Greece. They're called the Dokanese Islands. Going north here, okay, there's an island called Thira, Thira. We have a 1.3 tremor here. Most of these earthquakes are tremors and mine earthquakes. Most of these are tremors and mine earthquakes. That is a 1.3 tremor right there. Just south of there is a 1.5. South there is a 1.7. Then we go west of there, also near Thira, a 1.5 tremor. Then let's go south. There's 3 other earthquakes here in this area. Another 1.1, a 1.4, and another 1.1 right there. Then look at that earthquake just east of Santorini. Santorini looks like someone that's showing a hand signal there to the right, with a thumb at the bottom of the island and the forefinger up at the top. That's Santorini Island. It's an occupied island. Just east of there is another 1.2 tremor here. So we have tremors down here. Way south of there between Santorini and Crete. We have a 2.4 and a 2.5 earthquake right there. 2.4 and a 2.5 earthquake right there. Then we go down to Crete, Greece. Just northeast of Crete, Greece, we have another 2.3. Then we go down to the southeastern point of Crete, a 2.6 minor earthquake there. Then we go a bit west and out to sea, south of Crete. This is another 2.2 earthquake here. Okay. Then we go over to west central Crete, over the southern end. This is a 2.9 earthquake here. 2.9 earthquake here. Crete is an island of Greece. Okay, it's a tourist trap of Crete. Crete, Greece is a tourist trap. West of Crete on an earthquake fault. This is a 2.7 earthquake here in the Mediterranean Sea. See that earthquake fault? Guess where that comes from? Anybody have an idea where it's coming from? I showed you before. It comes out from here, from the border region of Turkey and Syria. Look at all those earthquakes here. Again, every one of those earthquakes here are as a result of that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Aftershocks here. All these aftershocks. That earthquake fault here that you're seeing here This is called the Anatolian Fault here. This is the Anatolian Fault. Let me bring this back down. The Anatolian Fault here goes all the way south here. Goes out into the Eastern Mediterranean here. Then it goes south of Cyprus here. Then it continues its westbound journey over here to Western Turkey, where you see all those earthquakes. It also goes up into northern Turkey and back down into Greece. But it also splits off and goes south around the southern side of Crete. It also goes up to the western side of Greece here. The western side of Greece. Look at all these earthquakes in Greece. USGS is not showing any of them, are they? Not a one. None. There are close to 20 earthquakes here in Greece by itself. Just on mainland Greece here, 20 earthquakes. And you wonder why I get pissed at this agency. There's a reason. There's a reason. Now I want to show you earthquakes over here in Sicily. This is Sicily right here. South of Sicily, we have a 3.5 earthquake here. 3.5. On the western end of Sicily, western side of Sicily, we have a 1.5 tremor here. 1.5 tremor there. Okay? Let's go east from there. Right at the Sicily-Italy border, we have a 1.2. Why am I taking the time to show you this? It's important. I'm trying to lead up to let you see where the seismic energy is traveling to. Let's go over here into the shoe of the boot. This is the heel of the boot. This is the sole of the boot of Italy. This is part of the shoe here, right here. There are two earthquakes here in the shoe. Two earthquakes here in the shoe. The one on the north side, Calabria, Italy, 1.0, and this is a 1.5 here. 1.0, 1.5 here in Calabria, Italy. Then we go north to the volcano. The volcano here. Okay? Coming down here. USGS is not showing anything going on here. Not a thing. But over here by Naples, right there, guess what? Here is a 1.0 tremor there. Now they're not showing, this is European agency reporting this. They're also not showing all the other earthquakes. But remember this, there's something else going on here. There's something else going on here. Let's go right here. I want to show you what's happening. Right here. Mount Vesuvius. Mount Vesuvius is steaming. Mount Vesuvius is steaming, guys. It's rocking. There are tremors and microquakes happening here. There's also some minor earthquakes as well, and occasionally a 3.5 to 4.5 earthquake here as well. USGS and the European agency are not showing much of anything here, which is sad. Because I just got through showing you the earthquake over here in Naples. Right there. Interesting. Interesting. Let's back out here. North Central Italy right here. Right there. Look what's happening here. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 earthquakes here. 13 earthquakes. USGS not saying a word about it. So far, these earthquakes are tremors. Tremors, and there's one minor earthquake there as well, 2.1 minor earthquake. We've been having swarms every day here, not just one day, every day. Swarms of earthquakes. USGS should be reporting this. What happens when we have swarms of earthquakes? That usually leads to a large earthquake. The last time we had a large earthquake here was about a year ago, a 5.1 earthquake. A 5.1 earthquake. It's going to happen again. Every day we get between 10 and 20 earthquakes here every day, sometimes more than that. Sometimes more than that. Happens. Northern Italy. Look at all these earthquakes in northern Italy along the Alps and they're here. Northeastern Italy, southwestern, the Alps Mountains here. Alps Mountains. Let's start over here on the northeastern side in Italy. Look at this. Actually, this is Slovenia. I'm sorry, Slovenia. This is a 0.8 microquake. Right next to it. This is Italy here. Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, Italy. A 0.5 microquake right there in the Alps Mountains, the Italian Alps. Then we go further to the west here. Trentino, South Tyrol, Italy. Is 0.7 microquake. I don't show you this every day, but I want to show you today. Over here, also in the Alps, is a 1.5 tremor, also belonging to Italy. We go further here to the west. Switzerland. The foothills of the Alps in Switzerland, a 1.9 tremor, 1.9, 2.0 earthquake. 1.9 tremor, 2.0 earthquake. Why do I say that? Because the agencies downgrade the quakes. They have this as a 1.9, it's probably at least a 2.0 minor earthquake, just to let you know. Further west here, in the Rhone Alps of France, we have a 1.2 and a 1.3 tremor right here. A 1.2 and 1.3 tremor right there. In the Rhone Alps of Switzerland. Okay, let's go over to France. Actually, I'm sorry, this is still Switzerland here. This is a 0.6 microquake there. Further north here, this is Frolis, France. Frolois, France. This is a 2.0 minor earthquake there. South here. This is Fléty-Brion, Franche-Comté, France. This is a 2.1 earthquake right there. And yes, I know I butchered the French. I do not speak French at all. Okay? Further south here, this is Ambazac, Ambazac, Nouvelle, Nouvelle, Aquitaine, France. Aquitaine, France. This is also a 2.2 earthquake. 2.2 minor earthquake. Again, back this earthquake map out of USGS, it shows nothing here. Nothing in the Alps, nothing in Italy, nothing in France, nothing in Switzerland at all. But there's one more earthquake I want to tell you about here. Normandy, France. Normandy, France. Here's another 2.1 earthquake. 2.1 minor earthquake here in Normandy, France. USGS says nothing. Down at the French-Spain border here. The French-Spain border. I keep telling you that there are at least 2 earthquakes here a day, and there are. Right here. This is a 1.8 tremor here in southern France. Just West of there, Spain, northern Spain. This is a 1.7 tremor here. There are always at least 2 earthquakes here at the border of Spain and France. I don't know why. Maybe it's part of the edge of the plate here. That could be the reason. Then we go over to southern Spain. This is a little bit different. Here we have 5 earthquakes here. 5 earthquakes right here. Okay, that's a 1.6. Just right next to it to the west, 1.7. To the northwest here, another 1.5 there. South of there, just off the coast of southern Spain. This is a 2.4 earthquake here. Then, today, at the Strait of Gibraltar, this is a 2.4 earthquake right here. 2.4 here at the Strait of Gibraltar. We have not seen this before. This is new. I don't think ever in the last 6 years that I've been talking about this, I don't think I've ever showed any kind of earthquake here at the Strait of Gibraltar. Over on the east side over here, yes, right here, there is an earthquake fault here. But a 2.6 here at the Strait, I've never seen that before. That's new. 2.6 earthquake there. Then we go over to Portugal. Good old Portugal. Southwestern Portugal, we have a 1.5 right there. 1.5 tremor right there. Let's back this out. USGS not showing 1. Not even 1 earthquake. What a joke. USGS is not showing anything in Switzerland, or not Switzerland, Sweden or Norway or Finland. Not a thing. What a joke that is. What a joke that is. There is an earthquake over in Norway. Trøndelag, Norway, over here in West Norway. It's a 1.1 tremor here. 1.1 tremor. Usually we see tremors right here in eastern Norway here and over here in western Sweden. Over here in Stockholm area. Even over here in Norrland, Sweden right here, we've seen earthquakes, but there are none today. We've even had earthquakes over here in Finland. Finland here and Western Russia right there. We've had earthquakes here, but we don't see any today. Just so you know. Let's take a trip across the ocean. Let's take a trip across the ocean to Iceland. USGS is not showing us anything here. That's interesting. That's very interesting. See this huge ice sheet right there? That just happens to be a volcano. Guess what? Bardarbunga volcano. We have a 2.5 earthquake right there. On the edge of the Atlantic plate. The mid-Atlantic plate. 2.5 earthquake here, Bardarbunga volcano here, on the edge of the plate here. Further south, I just love this. These earthquakes are also way down here to the south, right down here. Just north of this volcano here. Also on the fault zone, the mid-Atlantic fault zone. We have a 2.1 earthquake right there. Okay. South of there, at a volcano. Here's a 2.0 earthquake there. 2.0 minor earthquake there. Now, folks, there is going to come a time. There is going to come a time that we are going to see. Another eruption of the volcano. another eruption of the volcano. And guys, guess what? It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one. Let me move this out here, back out here. We're going to see another volcanic activity here. It's going to be another episode of a huge fissure eruption. It's going to be an episode of a fissure eruption here. Okay, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? In the past 2 years, we've had a number of fissure eruptions right in this area here. Gradually, we've had more and more fissure eruptions going north here. Right here we have the spa, the Blue Lagoon Spa. Right next to it, we have the Svartsengi power plant, a geothermal power plant where scientists and men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of the volcano to obtain steam, to power turbines to generate electricity here. Also, they take the steam and the water here from the volcano, and they turn hot water into heat throughout Iceland. This is the biggest geothermal power plant in Iceland. They provide heat from the water, hot water for people living all over this island. There's one other place. The last eruptions have taken place right in this area. They threatened Greenavik to the south here. They threatened the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon Spa here. Since then, the authorities have built huge earthen dams here protecting Svartsengi and the Blue Lagoon Spa. They've also erected a wall around Greenavik down here. They've erected a huge wall around Greenavik almost 100 feet high, protecting all of Greenavik to the north, west, and south here, protecting all of Greenavik. Greenavik is a shipping port here. They bring in fish every day. They offload fish at these piers. They process the fish and send it all over Iceland. Fish is the main protein meal of the day here in Iceland. Last year, I believe it was last November, there was a fissure eruption right here. The fissure eruption burned down several homes here in western Greenavik. 4 homes burned down because the lava here approached these homes, burned them to the ground. The authorities here in Greenavik evacuated Greenavik. It's still basically an evacuated town. There have been some people that have been allowed to be back here. There have been some people that have been allowed to come back to Greenavik. But like I said, they had evacuated Greenavik. Now, have we seen more eruptions since? Yes. Earlier this year, and the latest, the end of March here. Right between these hills here. These are volcanoes here. We've had fissure eruptions here. Fissures that opened up that were 12 and 13 kilometers long. They gradually died out and left only one crater still erupting. Then that crater quit erupting totally. Now, what's going to happen in the future? I believe we're going to still have fissure eruptions here in this area, right in this area here. I don't think we're going to get any more eruptions down towards Greenavik. Yes, it is possible. But most of the earthquakes that are having now are right here. Why are we having earthquakes right here? Because magma has come down from the south, come up here from the south, and it's pounding away on the bedrock here, trying to force its way to an eruption. It's pounding away on the bedrock. When that happens, it's popping the bedrock. fraction of bedrock, causing earth movement, which is an earthquake. That's what's happening here. Now, I want to go a little bit further to the west here. I'm going to back out here. Up here is a town that is the capital of Iceland. This is Reykjavik. Just east of Reykjavik, right here, there's another power plant right there. This is a secondary power plant. Authorities have also built an earthen wall around this power plant, just in case lava came out of fissures over here, that it would not reach this power plant. Okay? But this is Reykjavik, the capital. The majority of people live here in Reykjavik. Huge town. I think there's probably 200,000 people living here in Reykjavik. There are earthquakes down here in Iceland. But again, USGS is not going to show them to us. What a joke that is. We don't see any earthquakes here in Iceland, no. Today, they're not showing any earthquakes here in the northeastern United States and Canada. Interesting, huh? Absolutely is. It absolutely is. But guess what? There is an earthquake right up here, near the St. Lawrence Seaway right here. This is Morganton, Quebec, Canada. It's a 1.93 tremor here. 1.93 tremor up here near the St. Lawrence Seaway. Fascinating. Right there. Okay? They don't like talking to us, do they? USGS doesn't want us to know what's going on. Yes, we have one earthquake over here today that USGS is telling us about. This is over in western Tennessee, along the eastern side of the Pneumatic Fault. This is a 1.7 tremor here. A 1.7 tremor here. Folks, I hate this. I hate this. Because they refuse to tell the truth. They refuse to tell the truth. There are actually 300 earthquakes here a day along the Pneumatic Fault. 300 earthquakes a day, ranging in size from 1.6 microquake, 2.2, 2.3, 3.0, 3.5, and 4.5 earthquakes, all up and down the Pneumatic Fault. All up and down the Pneumatic Fault. 300 earthquakes here, sometimes up to 350 earthquakes here on the Pneumatic Fault every day. And they have the audacity to show 1.7 tremor. Earthquakes all over here. There are earthquakes over here in St. Louis. There are earthquakes over here in Springfield, Illinois. Earthquakes all the way up here to the Great Lakes in Chicago area. Earthquakes over here in Indiana. Over here in Ohio. Earthquakes. They don't want us to know about it. Heaven forbid they were truthful. When the Pneumatic Fault moves on, it's going to move on in a big way. Scientists lately have said that when the Pneumatic Fault goes again, it's going to be another 8.0 plus earthquake. It's going to be at least another 8.0 magnitude earthquake on the Pneumatic Fault. And guess what? The center of the Pneumatic Fault is over here in Missouri, right there. Right there. And yes, there are earthquakes here. The USGS refuses to talk about. Folks, people's lives are dependent on what's going to happen here. People's lives are are dependent on what's going on here. Why is that? Let me zoom in here. I think we can get fairly close to the river here, the Mississippi River, which is actually the Pneumatic Fault. Faults center around rivers. Did you know that? Underneath most rivers, you're going to find a fault. In this case, Pneumatic. Guess what, guys? All up and down this area, you see highways. You see highways. Most of those highways are two-lane blacktop, one lane in each direction. When the earthquake happens, it's going to turn that two-lane piece of blacktop into a highway full of holes. Fissures are going to come up. Fissures are going to open up. They happened when the last earthquake hit 200 years ago. It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. Roadways are going to be damaged. Water mains and gas mains are going to be damaged. Water pipes, gas pipes are going to blow, crack and blow. There's going to be fires. Because there's water mains blown, water pipes broken, there's not going to be much water available, if any. And as a result, we're going to have fires here. We're going to have fires. The only way to put out these fires is going to be by air. Helicopter and plane loads of water dropped on these fires. Homes and businesses burning. Homes and businesses destroyed. Transportation come to a screeching halt. Fact. Fact. Ginger Gal says, I know it's going to be bad. Yes, it's going to be bad. I just want to give you a heads up. Because as you can see, USGS is not telling us the truth. They show one tremor out of 300 plus earthquakes. One tremor out of 300 plus earthquakes. There is just something wrong with that picture. There's something wrong with that picture. Fact. Does anybody have any questions for me? Tomorrow night we'll talk about the Pacific Northwest. I pretty much today taking you all over the world, showing you earthquakes that the USGS hasn't shown us, which is terrible. Terrible. Earthquake here in Kansas. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake here. Why in Kansas? Guess what? Did you guys ever have an idea that there would be oil and gas pumping operations here in Kansas? Guess what? There are. There are. Right here. Right here. It looks like this was an abandoned oil and gas well right here. They're all over. They're all over, guys. If there is an earthquake within 6 to 10 miles of a pipe, a hole in the ground that was drilled to pump oil and gas, or is an active well, that man-made fault, that man-made drilled hole is a man-made fault. And when seismic energy hits it, it causes that fault to fracture, causing the earth to move. And in this case, this was a 2.3 earthquake here. A 2.3 earthquake here. Now, I'm going to go over here to the west and see. No, it's not going to let me come any closer here. Interesting, but no cigar. It's not going to let me see that here. This is Hill City, Kansas. Let me see if the European map will get me any closer here. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Where you see the word 5 miles here, where you see the word 5 miles here, that is an oil and gas pumping operation there. There is an oil and gas pumping operation right there. Okay. Doggone it, won't let me get any closer. There's one further up, way north of there. Let me show you this one here. There's an oil and gas pumping operation there and another one across the street from there. Right there. That's way north. That is probably 20 miles north of that earthquake, which has nothing to do with that earthquake. Nothing to do with that earthquake. 6 to 10 miles away, yes. 6 to 10 miles away, yes, absolutely. But there are oil and gas pumping operations going in Kansas, oil and gas pumping operations in Nebraska, oil and gas pumping operations all over Oklahoma. That's why, that is exactly why we have earthquakes in there. Okay, happens all the time. In Oklahoma, there are over 586,000 pumps and jacks. 586,000 pumps and jacks in Oklahoma alone. Crazy, huh? Here's a 1.28 tremor here in Mill Creek, Oklahoma. Let me try to zoom in here. Mill Creek, Oklahoma here. Right here. 1.28 tremor here. Look at the oil and gas pumping operations here. That's pretty close, don't you think? Sure is. Probably within a 1 mile radius of that oil and gas pumping operation. Yep. You can actually see pumps and jacks here. You can actually see pumps and jacks there. Well, that's wild. That's wild. That's wild. That's right there. Mill Creek, Oklahoma. And of course, over here in southwestern Texas, we have all kinds of earthquakes here. Yes, we have swarms of earthquakes here. This is a 2.0 here in Midland, Texas. Oil and gas. Oil and gas. Over here, this is a 1.5 tremor. This is a 1.3. Up here to the north, Ackerley, Texas, a 1.3. We had a 5.0 earthquake here in Ackerley, Texas, just about 6 months ago. Right here, McKinney Acres, Texas, 1.3 tremor here. Further south, over here in Toyah, Texas area, all kinds of earthquakes here. Swarms, oil and gas. Oil and gas here. This is 1.7 here in Lindsay, Texas. Southwest of that, Balmoria, Texas, 2.0 here. This is a 1.3. I'm not going to show you all of them here. There's probably 50 earthquakes here. This is a 1.4 here in Toyah. This is a 1.8 here in Toyah. North here, 1.6. 2.1. 2.0 to 2.9 are minor earthquakes. This is a 1.7 tremor. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. All of these are oil and gas earthquakes. Fracking earthquakes. Fracking earthquakes. Interesting. Again, Stanley, Texas. USGS is showing you one earthquake here, a 3.5. 3.5 today. Yellowstone, Yellowstone here, right here. This is Yellowstone National Park. This is Yellowstone Lake here. Southwest of Yellowstone Lake. Warm River, Idaho. 1.5 tremor here. Over here, just on the west side of Yellowstone. Hebgen Lake Estates. Folks, back in 1959, there was a 7.1 earthquake here. Killed 125 people. Killed 125 people and injured more. Unsupported concrete structures such as fireplaces went down. Brick-walled schools collapsed. Unreinforced masonry collapsed. Also, when that earthquake happened, right down here, there was a highway. There was a highway on the northeast side of the lake. It ended up going into the lake. A cabin here fell into the lake from a landslide. Yeah. A 7.1 earthquake they're now saying was larger than that. But again, we are looking over the western side of Yellowstone, over the magma chamber here. This did not erupt the volcano. This was a seismic event here. Had nothing to do with the magma chamber at all. A seismic event. Okay? Again, what's going on here? Look at the distance from Yellowstone to Stanley, Idaho. This is over here on the other side of Idaho, central Idaho. 54 miles west of Challis. Challis is where the western side of the magma chamber is. These earthquakes in Stanley have nothing to do with Yellowstone at all. Period. Nothing to do with Yellowstone at all. Any questions here? Any questions here? Yes, we have earthquakes over here in Washington. I will talk about these tomorrow. Right here, on the southern side of the Puget Sound, Dash Point, Washington, a 1.4 tremor. West of Mount Rainier, I get angry about this. They're showing a 0.2 microquake west of Mount Rainier. I'm telling you right now, there are dozens of microquakes here at Mount Rainier. There are also dozens of minor earthquakes. There's at least 2 3.5 earthquakes here every day. Yes, Mount Rainier is going to erupt. Mount Rainier is a volcano that's getting ready to erupt. To the south here, good old Mount St. Helens. Over here on the west side of Mount St. Helens, a 0.3 microquake again. Northwest of there, a 0.4. Folks, there are dozens of microquakes hitting Mount St. Helens. Minor earthquakes as well. And 3.0, 4.0 earthquakes hitting here at Mount St. Helens every day. And USGS tries to lie about it. Try to lie about it. Mount Adams here. Microquakes and tremors and minor earthquakes here. Mount Adams is steaming. Mount Adams is steaming. Unreal what they're trying to get away with. Mount Hood is steaming. Earthquakes here at Mount Hood as well. Heaven forbid they were honest about it. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Sad. Sad. Earthquakes down here in Newberry Volcano, Sisters Volcanoes, 3 volcano complex, and as far as south over here in Crater Lake, and over here also into Northern California here. Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen. Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen are also moving. And yet, the agency wants to take no responsibility for what they're saying here. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Plain and simple. Sorry about that. They don't want to tell the truth to anybody for any reason. Any questions? Sage puppies are reporting a 4.5 earthquake in Tonga. 4.5 moderate earthquake in Tonga. 202 kilometers in depth, still a fairly shallow quake. Interesting. Ray, it's good to see you. Ray Spurs reporting earthquakes at Long Valley Volcano as well. Long Valley is moving. Long Valley, like I said earlier, is a super volcano. It's moving. It's sad that they won't talk about it. Any other questions here? Good to see you, Ray. I want to go back to Colossians tonight. I end this program every day with a devotional. I want to go over here to Colossians chapter 3. We have some words of wisdom here that we need to get from the scriptures. Chapter 3, verse 16, starting with verse 16. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns. Psalms and hymns. Sage Pup is asking a question. Let me pause here with the devotional. Sage Pup is asking if the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which was an LGBTQ thing, is happening with USPS. I'm sure of it. I'm very sure of it. Management is DEI oriented. They are all, the Democrats and liberals in the government are trying to reinstate the DEI. They're trying to reinstate the DEI. Insane. Anyway, before I go over and finish the devotional, just briefly, President Trump has asked Congress to get serious. As I told you before in previous episodes of this program, a week and a half ago, the House of Representatives passed the big, beautiful bill and handed it off to the Senate. The House of Representatives controls the purse strings of government. They came up with the big, beautiful bill, but it had nothing to do with Social Security. It had nothing to do with codifying what DOGE did. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. DOGE stopped $170 billion from being spent. And yet the Democrats and the Republicans didn't say anything about it in the bill. Now the bill is in the Senate, and President Trump is asking for it to be passed. But President Trump is also saying he wants all Social Security recipients to get at least $2,000 each a month. All Social Security recipients will get $2,000 each a month if the Senate will approve it. There are so many seniors without Social Security at all. There are so many seniors without benefits. There are seniors on Social Security that are living way below the poverty line. Hopefully that will come to a screeching halt. But we also have representatives that do not want those DOGE cuts to go into effect, and President Trump is trying to push it through. President Trump is going to kick the representatives, the senators, and the House of Representatives in the butt to get his bills through. He wants the cuts going through Social Security. Yes, Social Security, where millions of people were taken off Social Security rolls. 2 million people getting benefits from Social Security upwards of the age of 386 years old. Really? Really? DOGE has taken off over 2 million people, saved millions of dollars, I believe $1 billion of money that has gone out to people receiving Social Security that shouldn't have, including illegal aliens. Okay? Incredible. But President Trump wants Social Security recipients to get $2,000 a month, more money than they've seen yet, ever. 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 It's incredible. Just briefly, something else I want to tell you about. There is a lady in Arizona. Most of us know who she is. Most of us know who she is. She's a real pain in the butt. Her name is Katie Hobbs. She's the governor of Arizona. She's Arizona's left-wing, far left-wing Democrat. Today, guess what she did? She allowed the Republicans in the House of Arizona put together a bill that aimed at restricting Chinese land ownership in Arizona. Other states have eliminated Chinese from owning land in their states. But this dipstick, this dipwad from Arizona, is allowing Chinese ownership of land in Arizona, right next to military bases. Right next to military bases. If any of you have family or you yourselves live in Arizona, you need to call Katie Hobbs' office and tell her to stop this BS. All China wants to do is own land there so they can spy on our military. Other governors have kicked the Chinese out of their states. That's exactly what should be happening. Yet this dipwad in Arizona wants to allow the Chinese to have access to our military. What a stupid joke. Unreal. Something else that also President Trump did today. Guess what? He's taken Pride Month back. No more Pride Month. It's June. The LGBTQ++ had named June Pride Month. No more Pride Month. Trump has now named June Title IX Month in wake of the trans athletes winning girls' competitions in California. Title IX Month. That's going to come to a screeching stop. It's going to come to a screeching stop. Okay? I'm glad I caught that so I can tell you about it. Let's get back to our devotional here. Again, starting in Colossians chapter 16. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. Verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. Then it's talking about wives submitting to your husbands, and husbands loving your wives, not being bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things. Fathers, provoke not your children, lest your children go to anger. Don't do that. Lest your children become discouraged. Don't do that. Servants, you and I. Servants, obey in all things your masters. Give your masters, your employees, a full day of work. Don't strip on it. Don't lie and cheat your employers, your companies. Obey in all things your masters, your employers, according to the flesh, not with eye service, as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily, as to the Lord, and not unto man, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Christ. We're here to serve God. We're here to honor our Savior Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Let's do it. Let's honor Christ. Let's do the things the Lord would have us do, guys. Let's do what the Lord would have us do. Anyway, guys, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I love each and every one of you, all of you. If there's anything that happens tonight or in the morning, we will be back here to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. I promise you that. I promise you. One other thing I forgot to tell you about. Dan Bongino, the Assistant Director of the FBI, and Kash Patel have made significant arrests. They've made significant arrests. A lot of stuff has happened. Let me play a piece of audio from Dan Bongino's channel. Dan Bongino doesn't do it anymore, but one of his people does. Let me play the audio from his channel earlier today.
Hear how afraid Tom Homan is about the risk coming across the southern border. It is not comforting.
They created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. Not only did 2 million known gotaways, 2 million people cross the border. We don't know who they are, where they came from. We don't know where they are now. 2 million people paid more to get away. They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. Why? This scares the hell out of me. I've been doing this for 40 years. It should have scared the hell out of every American.
You know, I was texting my uncle about this earlier today because he was Deputy Commissioner of the Office of Emergency Management of Nassau County. And he's been saying for years and warning for years that there are terrorists being essentially imported into our country via the open southern border. My uncle believes that in short time, whoever is coming across the southern border with these materials is going to create a dirty bomb and unleash it on a major U.S. city. And to hear now that Tom Homan is afraid of this same kind of a thing, like a 9/11 style attack. It really does put into perspective how dangerous open border policies are.
Okay, that's it. That's it. I wanted you to hear it. But there's been 1,143 people arrested. And guess what? Elizabeth Warren from Congress, the Senate, is about to be arrested. One other woman senator has been stopped. She may go to jail. She may go to jail because she violated campaign laws. She got too much money from campaign. She illegally spent it. She's going to go to jail. There are other people that are being arrested by the FBI right now as we speak. It's happening. We've been looking for arrests. It's going to happen now. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a good night and a better tomorrow. As I said, if you want to support this program, you can go to our Venmo or our PayPal locations. They're scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Our address here is 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina, 28655 if you want to send us a card or letter. You see our email address going across as well, rltnspdema@gmail.com. You send us cards, you can send us letters, you can send us considerations for topics on this program, or any complaints or ideas that you might have for us. Also, if you want to leave a comment below this video after we get off the air, do it. We enjoy your comments. I will answer every comment that you give us. I've been doing that. God bless you. Pocahontas, yes, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. She's going to be gone. She's about to go to jail. Gone. That dipwad, Jasmine Crockett in Texas, is going to go to jail. Last year, before she became a member of Congress, she was getting $30,000 a year. Now she's a millionaire, $10 million in her back pocket. Unreal. They're all going to go to jail. Guys, we'll talk more about this tomorrow. We'll talk about the Pacific Northwest as well. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Thank you for being here.